I actually recorded this video all ready to go by September 1st. I lost all the footage, so here I am recording this again. So I'm a few days into September, a few days late, but if you can just pretend I'm on time for September, that'd be great. September is here, there's 4 months left out of 2023. Do not like it, time is going too fast. And this month, sneaker releases tend to be bottom heavy. And what I mean by that is the shoes that I like tend to be dropping at the end of the month, and early to mid-September is looking a bit weak in my opinion, and it kind of annoys me because I'm going on vacation back to Taiwan at the end of September, so I might miss a lot of these releases. Hopefully not, fingers crossed, but we'll see. And because it is a new month, I'm gonna go through the sneaker releases of September and play double up, buy once or pass. And the concept is simple. If I love a shoe, I give it a double up. If I like but don't love a shoe, give it a buy once. And pass, that's pretty obvious. Now disclaimer, there's way too many shoes that are releasing every month, so I can't get every single shoe on this list. It's just too much. I'm already losing my voice. The video would be too long, and the release dates for the sneaker industry always changes, delays happen. Shoes that I talked about last month are appearing this month. So if I get the dates wrong, don't blame me, blame them. And first up, on September 1st, it is 2 colorways of the same shoe. It's the Sabrina 1 Ionic and Spark for $130. Now this shoe was supposed to come out last month, but they had to delay it. It's coming out in September, and there's 2 colorways dropping on the same day. And it is the first signature shoe with Nike for Sabrina Ionescu. She is a WNBA player. She's absolutely killing it in the WNBA. And this shoe is inspired by her Romanian heritage. So you see on the forefoot, as well as the eye stays, that pattern, that is a reference to her Romanian background. And the Sabrina one also features Zoom React as well as a Nike Air on the forefoot. And these shoes obviously feature Sabrina's branding on the tongue as well as the insole. And my favorite thing about this shoe is you see on the midsole, on one shoe it says anyone and on the other it says anywhere. And it's very subtle, but when you notice it, I really appreciate it. Now out of these 2 colorways, one is obviously a bit more loud. The Spark colorway has like this violet and yellow upper sole. I'm not a huge fan of the colorway, but the silhouette I really like. I think there's a very Kobe-esque feeling to this shoe. I know they were friends in real life, they were very close, and a lot of shoes now do kind of look like Kobe shoes anyway. The newest LeBron 21, that looks very much like a Kobe shoe, but I think this shoe is one of the best new Nike Basketball signature shoes in a while. If I was still playing ball regularly, I definitely would play in these. Now as someone that prefers more subtle, more muted tones, I think I really like the Ionic colorway, but the Spark colorway, just not really for me. So for the Ionic colorway, I'm gonna give it a buy once. For the Spark colorway, I'm gonna give it a pass. Next up, dropping on September 1st for $260 is the Double Taps New Balance 990 V6. Now Double Taps is a Japanese retailer, and New Balance has always maintained a big footprint in Japan. And this isn't the first Double Taps New Balance collaboration. They've done the 992, the 990 V2, so this is following up on those. And the 990 V6, I gotta say, it is really growing on me. I've never been a huge New Balance guy, but this shoe, the more I see it, I'm kinda starting to like the silhouette. This predominantly gray upper sole is a slight variation of the debut colorway of the 990 V6, and it uses fuel cell cushioning as well as in-cap technology, pretty standard for New Balance shoes. And you also see Double Taps branding on the insole, as well as the heel, and also a custom box. And overall, I just really like how this shoe looks. Super simple, super wearable. It's just perfect for so many different occasions. I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. Next up on September 2nd is the Air Jordan 1 Palomino for $180. Now I've actually already reviewed this shoe. If you're interested in my in-depth, kind of detailed thoughts about the shoe, check out my review. But a quick summary, this shoe features a black leather base layer with brown or Palomino nubuck accents. The nubuck kind of has more of this matte feel to it than like traditional nubuck. And overall, I think, especially as someone that lives in New England, fall is the best time to be here. This is a perfect fall shoe. The colors just lends itself very well to the season. And overall, I really like black based shoes, probably more than the average person. So shoes like the Pollens, the Jordan 1 Heirlooms, the Dark Marina Blues, I have all of them. And it's the same for this shoe, especially with these earthy tones, muted, subtle, again, very wearable. I love it. I'm definitely giving this shoe a double up. Next up on September 7th is the Nike Mac Attack Black and White for $120. Now the Mac Attacks, along with the Jordan Airships, as well as the Jordan 2s, it's one of those shoes you can tell Nike's really pushing it hard on us really trying to shove it down our throats. They've even stuck Travis Scott onto a future Nike Mac Attack release. I think that's coming out later this year. In this shoe, it's very, very simple. Black and white, that's it. You can't really go wrong with this colorway. Now, I actually think the Mac Attack silhouette isn't too bad, but I do have wide feet, and the Mac Attack just doesn't lend itself very well in terms of comfort to my feet. It's kind of narrow, the length is fine, but the stiffness and the way it fits around my feet, I'm just not really a big fan of. It also has no Nike air cushioning. It's a very old shoe, originally designed for tennis player John McEnroe. And even though I do like the colorway, black and white, who can really go wrong with that? My favorite thing about this shoe is the gray outsole. I think this gives this shoe kind of a different dimension. And the most unique thing about this shoe is probably that checkered tongue with the red Nike tag. Honestly, the colors on the shoe is very nice. The silhouette, I think it's pretty nice. But in terms of comfort around my wide feet, just never been a big fan of. So unfortunately, I'm giving this shoe a pass. Next up, on September 7th, is the Zoom KD3 White and Gold for $130. Now the Zoom KD3 Easy Money actually just dropped on the last day of August. I really like that shoe. I think that colorway is very nice. It's pretty cool. And this shoe, even though I don't love gold on my sneakers, I think it's pretty clean. Predominantly white with some hints of gold. Not too sure if this is actually for the FIBA World Cup. I think it might be, but they don't really reference it in their description or anywhere on the shoe. And the KD3 is one of the better looking basketball shoes. I think it's one of the few basketball shoes you may be able to pull off like casually if you're not playing ball or doing anything athletic. And of course it features Flywire at the midfoot with a mesh based layer and leather overlays. It features KD's logo on the tongue as well as the insole in gold. And the most unique thing I think about the KD3 is the KD35 on the booty of the shoe. I think that's a pretty cool look. Overall I like the shoe, but it's hard to follow up the Easy Money colorway that I really like. It's just hard in my mind not to compare the two. I ended up not getting the Easy Money. I had to just chill out a bit. Got way too many shoes recently. But because they're really so close to each other, I just compare them like instinctually, and I'd rather have the Easy Moneys. So for this shoe, even though I think it's nice, I'm gonna give it a pass. Next up on September 8th is the Eastside Golf Air Jordan 1 Golf 1961. Now Eastside Golf is a black owned golf brand. I have a pair of Air Jordan 1 Low Eastside Golfs. I really think this shoe is so nice. And the white and orange Eastside Golf that dropped, I believe, late last year, that was a very nice looking shoe, but I believe it had like that golf outsole. I don't even know what it's called. I know nothing about golf. Now this shoe is to commemorate the year 1961 when the PGA of America lifted the ban on non-white golfers. Now, side note, 1961 is like 60 years ago. That's crazy. That's not very long ago. It's just nuts to think that that was only like a generation before us. Kind of just blows my mind. It's nuts. Another side note, I always thought golf would be a pretty fun sport. I've always wanted to maybe get into it, but I don't really like hobbies or sports or things that have this gatekeeping culture. I would just love to wear like a hoodie or like a baggy shirt and shorts on a golf course if it's hot. I just don't know why. There's like this pretentiousness about it that just kind of puts me off. So I've never really gotten into it. That's why I love AI. He was always authentic, always himself from day one till literally right now. He still dresses the same, acts the same way. He was always himself. Even when the NBA didn't embrace who he was, he said, I'm gonna do it my way. Anyway, this shoe features a black leather base layer with green overlays. Back to my point when I talked about the Jordan 1 Palominos, I like black leather base layer at Jordan 1s probably more than the average person. Now this shoe also says change on the heel, as well as a metallic gold wings logo, and Eastside Golf branding on the swoosh, as well as the insole, an Eastside Golf logo on the tongue. Also comes with an Eastside Golf hang tag. Now I really like how this shoe looks. There's been a few green Jordan 1s lately, like the Jordan 1 Lucky Green, the Gorge Green. I like this one the most. I think this may be the best green Jordan 1 of 2023. I think the colorway and the storytelling of the shoe is really nice. I want to leave this shoe for people that actually wear them to golf in. So double up if this was a normal Jordan 1, pass because it is a golf shoe. Also dropping on September 8th is the Corporate Garden Jordan Airship for $150. Like I alluded to earlier, Jordan Brand's really pushing the Jordan Airships lately, which is kind of funny because they used to kind of not want to address that the Jordan Airship was actually the first shoe that Michael Jordan wore. Cat's out of the bag. Now they're really trying to shove it down our throats. Corporate is a retailer in the Midwest. I believe they have locations in Cincinnati as well as Indiana. And this shoe features an all-teal hairy suede upper sole with leather overlays. So it's a very, very unique color. And it also comes with corporate branding on the heel, the words Gotham on the booty of the shoe, a custom box, and inside the ankle collar is the words For the City. Now, even though I prefer muted and subtle shoes, I think this teal upper sole is very unique. It actually looks pretty nice. Don't love hairy suede though, but this color, there's something about it. I think it looks cool. And the Jordan Airships, I gotta admit, it's one of those shoes in images. I always thought it looked ugly. The proportions looked off, but I took a chance, got the Jordan Airship Dune Red. I think in hand, it really looks much better. I know that's cliche, I know people say it all the time, but honestly, the Jordan Airship in hand, it looks nice. So this shoe, I kinda like the color. I don't love hairy suede. I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. Next up on September 9th is the Jordan 4 Red Cement for $210. Now this shoe features DNA of the OG colorways of the Jordan 4. So you see the fire red, obviously the cement pattern on a predominantly white leather base layer. You can't really go wrong with that. I say it all the time about Jordan 4s. It's really hard to make an ugly and bad Jordan 4. And I've actually got a review of this shoe coming up very shortly. It'll be probably the next video after this video, so I'll have more in-depth thoughts about that shoe in the review. But my quick thoughts here, it's a nice looking shoe. Don't know if I love it, because the OG Jordan 4s are just so nice. They just kind of make every other Jordan 4 pale in comparison. Those are so legendary, but this shoe is still nice. I know some people don't love it, but for me, I enjoy it. I like it. So for this shoe, like it, don't absolutely love it, so I'm gonna give it a buy once. Also dropping on September 9th is an Air Max 1 Big Bubble, the Air Max 186 Obsidian for $150. Now I also have a review of this shoe coming up very shortly. It'll probably be after the Jordan 4 Red Cement review, and the Big Bubbles made a comeback in 2023. Real quick, if you don't know the story, back in 1986, the Air Max 1, the original Air Max 1, actually came with a bigger Nike visible bubble, but quickly Nike found, especially in cold weather, that the midsole would crack around the visible air unit, so they had to retool the tech specs, and then they had to re-release the Air Max 1 in 1987, which is the Air Max 1 we're all familiar with now. So the Big Bubble is actually what the Air Max 1 was supposed to look like. And this year they brought it back, they released the OG colorway, as well as the Kids of Immigrant collaboration, and the diffuse blue, can't remember what the name of that, or at least the internet name of that Big Bubble was, and this shoe. I think the shoe is super clean. Obsidian, hence a fire red with a great suede mid panel. Looks like a very standard Air Max 1. The Air Max 1 is my favorite Air Max, so I have no problems there. And on such simple and clean colors, can't say no. I don't know if I like the Big Bubbles over the modern day Air Max 1s. Can't really decide. I love both. And the simple colorways on this, definitely giving the shoe a buy once. Also dropping on September 9th is the Air Jordan AJKO Laney for $150. Now the Air Jordan KO, if you didn't know, according to myth, according to the legend, KO stands for knockoff, and apparently back in the day, Jordan brand was sick of people knocking off the Jordan 1s because they couldn't afford them. So they decided to come up with their own shoe based on the Jordan 1 that was at a lower price point, just to dissuade people from buying replicas and fugazis, and the AJKO was born. Now the Air Jordan KOs are usually made with canvas upper soles, and if you know anything about me, I really don't like canvas material on shoes. I just feel like the dirt and dust just really stubbornly stick to canvas. I just don't like the look, I don't like the feel of canvas sneakers. The only AJKOs that I own are the Jordan 1 Low AJKOs, that is a collaboration with Union LA. And the only reason I had that is because that upper sole featured leather as well as suede. There were two pairs of those, one with the canvas upper sole, one with leather. I only went for the leather. I actually really like the Laney colorways, probably more than the average person. I know it's not very easy to wear, it's pretty loud, it's pretty different, but I like the combination of blue and yellow. Kinda reminds me of X-Men, specifically Wolverine, so I like that colorway, but I just don't like canvas upper soles, don't like the AJKOs, so for this shoe, I'm gonna give it a pass. Also dropping on September 9th is the Air Jordan 2 Soft Pink, which is a woman's exclusive for $175. Now this shoe, I think this shoe might be the ugliest shoe on the list. I don't know what it is, because it actually is very similar to the Jordan 1 Washed Pink. I really like that shoe. I think on that silhouette, it looked really nice. But the same colorways dumped on the Jordan 2. Again, another silhouette, Jordan brands shoving down our throats. I just don't really like. This shoe features a mix of canvas and suede on the upper sole. And it features one of those things that I hate on shoes. It is an exposed foam on the tongue. Absolutely hate it. and it comes with a vanilla sail midsole. I do not like how that looks on this shoe as well. It reminds me of candy floss or ice cream. I just don't like this shoe. I'm not even a big Jordan 2 hater. I think there's some very nice Jordan 2s, but the colors on this silhouette, just not for me. I'm definitely giving this shoe a pass. Next up, dropping on September 13th is the Air Jordan 1 High, another women's exclusive. It's the Praline colorway for $180. Now, I actually have a review of this shoe coming up pretty shortly, and this shoe is inspired by luxury handbags, according to Nike. And just like the 2002 Jordan 1 Starfish, that was also a woman's exclusive, the shoe features an all tumbled leather upper sole with praline colorways and a sail midsole because they couldn't help themselves, had to stick sail on that midsole. Now, this is a pretty generic Jordan 1, but there's a catch. The most unique thing about this shoe are those satin laces or ribbon laces, whatever you want to call it. I looked at Nike's press release, they called it satin, so I'm going with satin laces. And I don't know if I like how that looks or even feels. I haven't felt them in hand, but just imagining it, I don't feel like I'd love it. I think the colorways are pretty nice, it's pretty subtle, and it's a pretty wearable shoe. But for me, those satin laces, I'm not too sure about, but I do like the colorway. For those reasons, I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. Next up, on September 14th, two Converse weapons in collaboration with Undefeated for $140. Now, the Converse weapon is one of those sneakers, even if it's not very popular in 2023, it's going to go down in sneaker history. It's always going to have its place. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, a bunch of other players used to wear the Converse weapons. Converse was the shoe for the NBA. Now, these shoes feature Undefeated branding on the heel, as well as the tongue and the lateral side of the shoe. And then Undefeated slogan, "Play Dirty," is seen on the medial side of the shoe. Now, out of these two colorways, the green and then the creamy sail, whatever color that is, I like the green colorway. If you know me, I pretty much only wear shades of like white, black, or gray. But green is one of those colors that's actually a color that I really like wearing. And this kind of green, olive or like chive green, I'm a big fan of. And I think the Converse weapon silhouette is just super simple. It's old school, it's retro, which are both pretty popular in 2023. So for the green colorway, I'm gonna give it a buy once. And for the other colorway, even though it's nice, I just can't help but compare it to the green colorway. I'm gonna give that colorway a pass. Next up, on September 15th, are two pairs of Air Force Ones. It is the Air Force One Terror Squad. Now, this shoe was supposed to release last month. However, it's delayed obviously. So I'm gonna drop what I think about these shoes right here. For people that are too young, one of the earliest viral sneaker moments in history was Fat Joe licking a pair of original dead stock Jordan 7 Olympics on an episode of MTV Cribs. If you haven't seen it, YouTube it, I think it's still up. Now, Fat Joe might not be like the most relevant rapper nowadays, but he is still a very OG celebrity sneaker collector. And in the past, he has had Terror Squad Air Force Ones before. Those were generally limited to friends and family, so it was very hard to get. But for these two shoes, it seems to be a general release, so the public will have a chance to get them. Now, Fat Joe kind of recreated this viral moment, but with Eli Manning on an episode of the Eli Manning Show. Eli Manning was the one licking the shoe this time, and he was licking the light porpoise pair. So this white porpoise pair has icy outsoles on a white leather base layer, and the rest of the shoe is pretty normal, just like a regular Air Force One, with that light porpoise color on the heel counter as well as the swoosh. Now, the black and white pair, probably the pair most people are going to try and get. That's pretty much just a regular black and white Air Force One, but both these shoes comes with Terror Squad branding on the heel counter, as well as the characters JC, probably referencing Joey Crack. That's like Fat Joe's other persona, kind of like Eminem, Slim Shady. Now, out of these two shoes, I probably actually like that light porpoise pair more. I don't know, I think the color blocking is just better. Now, in a vacuum, these two shoes aren't the best. There's nothing too special about them apart from like the Terror Squad logos, as well as the characters JC on the heel. But if you're around my age, you grew up in the 90s, and if you grew up in that era of hip-hop when Fat Joe was huge at one point with the song Lean Back, you gotta get these shoes. Fat Joe is just such a name in sneaker collecting. He really is. So for these reasons, because I am someone of that era, I grew up during that time, I'm gonna give these shoes a buy once. Next up, on September 20th, is the Air Jordan 6 Low PSG for $200. Now, PSG is a French soccer club. Is it a soccer club or a soccer team? What's like the usual wording for it? I don't watch soccer at all, so I'm not sure, but it's a soccer team, it's a French soccer team, and they've done a bunch of collaborations with Jordan Brand before, most notably the Jordan 4 PSG, one of the best looking shoes in recent memory. as well as the Jordan 5 Low PSG. I actually had that shoe, but eventually sold it for way under retail. I like the colorway, just had no idea like what or how to wear it with. Just had to get rid of it. Now this shoe features a gray base suede layer with light sail overlays and hints of orange with an icy outsole. I love icy outsoles. Now even though I like the colors on the shoe, there's something about Jordan 6 lows I just can't get behind. That heel tab on the Jordan 6 low is just too dominant. I think for the low cut version, maybe just get rid of the heel tab. I just don't like how it looks. The proportions look kind of thrown off. It's not my thing. And even though this colorway is nice, love gray shoes, I love icy outsoles, not a big fan. I'm gonna give this shoe a pass. Next up, on September 23rd, is the J Balvin Air Jordan 3 Medellin Sunset that's dropping for $250. Now J Balvin has done Jordan brand collaborations before with the Jordan 1 and the Jordan 2. Didn't really love the Jordan 1s or 2s, but I think this shoe is nice. It's simple, but it still uses colors that are kind of out of the norm. J Balvin is of Colombian descent, so this shoe is inspired by Medellin, a city in Colombia. It looks to feature this ivory or white leather upper sole, so you see on the back of the midsole as well as the heel tab. And on one booty of the shoe it says Nike Air, on the other it's got J Balvin's signature smiley face. And I think it's very smart, because everyone kind of universally agree sunset colors are beautiful, and sticking it on the shoe in very limited amounts, I think it's a good idea. I like the shoe. Now some people might think the colors are a bit kind of childish or kind of corny. I happen to really like it. I don't really love that smiley face. I'm also not too familiar with J Balvin's music, but it is his iconography, so I do get it. And I do like that white elephant print on the shoe. I think out of all the Jordan brand collaborations he's done, this is probably his best one. I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. Also dropping on September 23rd is the Air Jordan 2 Black Cement for $175. You might laugh at me, but this is probably the shoe I'm looking forward to the most in September. Sounds crazy because I might be the only one, but I just love how this shoe looks. The Black Cement colorway is obviously a legendary colorway by now, not because of the Jordan 2. However, when they dumped it on the silhouette, something about it just really appeals to me. I really like how this looks. Like I said, I like black sneakers probably more than the average person, and black cement with hints of red, how can you go wrong? This shoe features a black leather upper sole with that cement gray tongue and outsole with hints of fire red like I alluded to before. Looks to be sail midsole, don't really love that, prefer if it was just white. But for this shoe, whatever reason, it's one of those intangible qualities about sneakers that I can't put my finger on. I just really like this shoe. And the Jordan 2, it also helps that it's one of the more comfortable shoes, especially once you break it in. This shoe gets me. And I don't care if you laugh at me, I like what I like. I'm giving this shoe a double up. Next up, on September 26th, is the LeBron 4 Graffiti that is dropping for $240. Now this shoe first released in 2006. Quick story time, back around the early to mid 2000s, you either had to be Team Kobe or Team LeBron. There was a whole debate about who was the best player in the NBA. I was always Team Kobe, loved Kobe Bryant, so I always kind of rooted against LeBron. I'm sorry if you love LeBron, but that's just how it was growing up. So when I was playing ball all throughout school, I always avoided buying LeBron James's basketball shoes. But when this colorway released, originally it was like very limited, like 300 pairs were released in 2006. But when this colorway was shown and it was released, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It was so nice. I loved how that shoe looked. Now I think the LeBron 4 silhouette is a pretty nice silhouette. Looks very chunky, it looks very heavy, and I believe it was never wore it to play in, but I believe that was one of the biggest critiques. But in this colorway, it is so nice. And I'm so happy that it's coming back, apparently pretty close to the OG specs. So the OG had the foam-posite material actually on the upper sole, with obviously the graffiti colorway on the midsole. I think people from my generation are really gonna have a lot of nostalgia when they see this shoe. It just brings back so many memories around such a fond time. Not the greatest time in my life, but in terms of like following the NBA, following the sport around that time, that was when I was peak obsessed with the NBA. So for this shoe, I'm giving it a double up. And finally, to round out this list, on September 30th is the Jordan 8 Playoff for $210. Now this is a Jordan 8 OG colorway that actually last returned in 2013. So 10 years later, we finally get a chance to get this shoe again. It is the 30th anniversary of the Jordan 8. And actually on the newest Jordan shoe, the Jordan 38, there's a lot of references to the Jordan 8, and I do have a review of that shoe if you're interested to know more in detail. So this 2023 release apparently comes back with as close to the OG as possible in terms of specs. So it's got that very distinct Jordan 8 X-Strap, of course, as well as the chenille Jumpman tongue. And of course it features the graphics on the mudguard, very distinct graphics, and the original red heel pull tab is back. So in 2013 they changed it to a black heel pull tab, don't know why. They changed it back to the OG color, and the Jordan 8 is one of the most unique looking and distinct shoes, I think, ever, especially from Jordan 1 to 14. It just looks so different. Now, if you didn't know this colorway, it is what MJ wore during the 92-93 season. I believe he wore it like second half of the season or throughout the playoffs, hence the name playoff. And he beat Charles Barkley and the Suns that year for his third consecutive NBA championship. He actually retired for a bit after this. Obviously came back, rest is history. And this shoe, it's probably one of the most anticipated shoe of the year, definitely for this month, because we just don't see Jordan 8s very often, and we definitely haven't seen this colorway for a while. Now in a vacuum, I don't love the Jordan 8 silhouette. I think it's a bit too different. It's a bit harder to wear. But this shoe, just the way it looks, the significance of it, the history behind it, just the fact that we don't see Jordan 8s very often. Now, I'm gonna stay true. I don't love the Jordan 8s. I just don't. I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. So that's it. Thanks for watching So Inclined. Let me know what shoes you would double up on and which ones you think are absolute trash. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.